Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel yet again. If you're new here, my name is Catherine, and today I'm going to be showing you all the books that I read in the months of June and July. In June I read about 5 books, and then in July I think I read 10, but I'm also currently reading one right now. It is July 30th as I'm filming this, and I do think that I can get it done within the next 2 days. I'll include it at the end, but it might end up in my next wrap-up. I completely forgot to do a wrap-up for June because honestly I only read 5 books, and I did want to just group last month with this month, so that's what we're doing today. If you don't follow my Goodreads, I do post on there pretty frequently of like what I'm reading, and I'm very up to date with it because I love Goodreads so much. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Also, if you notice a different background, it's because I'm in a new house because I moved, so that's why I don't have any shelves or anything, which is so sad, but hopefully I can get shelves soon and then decorate them. But I do have all the books that I've read, so yeah. Here's my little stack of books that I read in June. So this first book that I have, I actually began like on May 31st or something, like the very end of the month, and I finished it in June. It's also going to be featured in one of my videos coming up, and it is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is about... honestly, I still don't really know what it's about. I started this for a video and was just so confused the entire time because it really threw me for a loop. I didn't anticipate what this book was going to be about. I thought it was kind of going to be like a fluffier romance. It is definitely not a fluffy, fun, good time romance. It's about this girl, what was her name? Ava, that's right. Ava and her love interest, Alex, were really questionable, especially Alex's choices when it came to serenading her. That's all I knew going into this book, is that he sings to her, and that is like one of my biggest icks, so I was not ready. I love that we have a Asian main character though, because we don't really see that, at least I don't really see that in romance a lot. It definitely has gotten a lot more diverse in the book community and like in the romance realm. However, it's still a little rare to see. We always see some white FMCs. So I was really excited to see Ava and her culture and everything. Overall, I did give this book a 2.75. Like I said, it will be in another video if you want more in-depth thoughts, but yeah, that's all I have to say about this one. Next, I read this book as a kind of like prep, I guess, for a new release by this author. I read Hello Stranger by Katherine. This book is about a woman. I don't remember any of their names. June feels like it was literally years ago. Sadie. Does that sound right? I don't even remember that. Sadie. Interesting. Oh, I do remember her dog Peanut. Okay, for sure. Sadie is an artist. She draws portraits or paints portraits for a living, and she has to get this brain surgery, which ended up giving her facial blindness because some part of her brain, there was a lot of swelling in it, so she's unable to remember faces and like detect who she's talking to. The romance in this book was very interesting. I did get very frustrated because this has happened with me in several books of when the characters are absolutely clueless about one thing or another, and it's like painfully obvious. This book is pretty much the miscommunication trope, not even because she can't recognize people, she doesn't know who she's talking to, but because of her lack of wanting to talk to somebody about what happened to her. It was just so frustrating for me. I did end up giving this book a 3-star because there were a lot of elements in it that I did enjoy, but I was getting so frustrated with the miscommunication. So overall, 3 stars. I do have the rom-commers, I believe, so I will be reading that after this, or hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, also I will say I did like The Bodyguard a lot more than this book, but nonetheless I still love Katherine writing. I think she does a really good job at making a very interesting and unique story that's pretty fast-paced, so I do like that about her books. This next book I'm so excited to talk about because it was definitely my favorite of the month. This is a new to me author, and I fell in love with her writing. I also love her as a person. I did get to meet her, which was so exciting. I read Noro Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. Oh my goodness, this book, I did bring it on my vacation with me. I was on a cruise and it just flew by. It is literally such a feel good but also really emotional romance, and it was just so unexpected. I told her when I met her that her writing is a breath of fresh air, because it literally is. Like, reading her books, it's just so nice to just get to the point, and I absolutely loved this book. I ended up giving it a 4.5 star. Honestly, I probably would have bumped it up to a 5 if I didn't read it on vacation, because I feel like even though it did go by pretty quickly, my mind was on other things, but I feel like if I read it in like 1 or 2 sittings, it would have been a 5. But nonetheless, I love her writing so much, and she's so sweet too. The next book I ate up, and so did my dog. It is The Housemate Secret by Freida McFadden. He chewed the life out of this book. This is the second book in the Housemate series by Freida McFadden. It is like a thriller series about this woman who becomes the housemate for several rich people because she needs the money. And I actually really liked this second installment. I thought it was better than the first one, to be honest. I think I rated the first one like a 3.5, but this one 8. I really like this one, and I can't wait to read the third one. I also read this in preparation for the third one to come out, so that's why a lot of the books that I have here I read for those reasons. Overall, really liked this book, the second installment. 4 stars, really good. And this is the last book that I read in June, also for a video. It is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I ended up giving this book a 3-star because I just felt like it was dragging on during so many parts of the book. Like, as you could tell, it is not a really quick read. At least for me, it wasn't a quick read. It's pretty long. It's about 430 pages, which is a lot of pages, especially for a romance. I do understand like the friends to lovers arc, but I don't like when in friends to lovers romances there is more of a like friends with benefits type of situation. I realize I don't really like that kind of storyline, so that's just me personally. The writing was really good, it was really interesting, but I couldn't really give it anything more than a 3 because of the times where I was like bored. I felt like it was dragging on, and the nature of the romance at times, it just didn't really feel the love until like probably the last like 20-30 pages. So maybe that's just me, but yeah. Overall, I probably would read another Casey McQuiston book. Like, I don't think that this book was bad in any way, and I would definitely recommend it. Now we're gonna move on to all the books that I read in July, and I have a lot of books to talk about, so we're probably gonna be here for a little bit of time. But the first one that I have here, I actually buddy read with my cousin, and it is Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson, right? I don't really remember what this book is about. I know that the main character, Phoebe, that's right, she does have a romance with her neighbor, and she's super into true crime. And I thought that we were gonna get even more into the true crime element. I thought he was gonna be a serial killer. I thought she was gonna be a serial killer. But alas, none of that happened, and I was just insanely bored the entire time. I gave this book 2 stars because I also feel like nobody really had a personality. I did see a Goodreads review, which was so funny. It said the best thing about this book is the cover, and the cover is beautiful. And I kind of do agree with that Goodreads review, just because this didn't blow me out of the water. If I hadn't read it with my cousin, I probably would have DNF'd it. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, overall 2 stars. This next book I absolutely binged because I was so engrossed in the story, and it actually caught me by surprise, the fact that I was loving it that much. It is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. As you can tell, I was in a Freida McFadden mood. I also buddy read this with my cousin, so we read 2 books back to back together. This book is about this couple that gets caught in this house in the storm, so they can't leave, and they uncover a lot of truths. This house belonged to like this famous psychiatrist or psychologist. She records all of her sessions with her patients, and the main character, what's her name? Right, literally every single book. The main character, Trisha, discovers these tapes and listens to them all. And then you just discover more as it goes on. And honestly, I flew through this book. It literally went by so fast. I ended up giving it a 3.5. I actually really liked this book. I feel like the twist was really interesting. I didn't like it as much as A Housemate Secret, so maybe I should have judged it by itself, but overall, I really do like Freida McFadden's stories. I feel like she makes really solid thrillers, so I did really like this one. And if you're into them and you need like a standalone, if you don't want to read like the Housemate series, I would definitely recommend this one. I haven't read any other thrillers by her, but this one I actually really liked, so yeah. This next one I did rate a 5-star on Goodreads, but now thinking back to it, I will be bumping it down just because I feel like I was on a reader's high and I really did like this story. I haven't really thought about it since, and that's kind of telling for me that it's not really going to be a 5-star. So I will be changing that soon, but it is The Invisible Life of Addy by V.E. Schwab. I'm sure you know what this book is about. I'm sure you've seen it. It is so popular and notorious. It is about none other than Addy. She makes a deal with like a god that she wants to like live an amazing life and have more time to live life. So she's pretty much like immortal, but nobody remembers her until one guy remembers her. The story is so beautifully written. It is just a really good story. I understand why people think it's very repetitive and why they don't like it for those reasons. I listened to the audiobook, so I think that's probably why I didn't really find it super repetitive or boring or anything, because I would just listen to it driving back and forth. Overall, I really did like this book. I think the reason why I can't give it a 5 is because it doesn't have that 5-star feeling, and that's literally just it. I don't know how to explain a 5-star feeling, but I did really enjoy it and I do love it. So overall, 4.75. Next, I read a lot of books because I'm going to a signing for 3 different authors. I'm going to a signing where Kennedy Ryan, Chloe Leese, and Abby Jimenez are going to be at, which is absolutely insane. I already have my wristbands. I'm ready to go. I have my books. So yes, I did break my book buying ban just for these ones because I had to. Because in order to get the wristband, you had to buy a book. So I didn't have some of them, so I did buy them, but I did own this one already, so I'll just get into this one first. I'm so excited for that signing, by the way. I literally cannot wait. I am shaking. I almost threw up talking to Annabelle Monaghan. So talking to Abby Jimenez, I am scared for myself because I know I will be embarrassing. Anyway, that's besides the point. So this book I actually did own already, so I'm really excited to show you. I did read Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is a book about a woman who is going through a divorce with her husband. It's dual POV, and they find their way back to each other, and it is so beautiful. Kennedy Ryan knows how to write a romance that will tug at your heartstrings but also be funny. Like, because it doesn't really feel right to call it a rom-com because it doesn't feel like a movie like that, if that makes sense. It just is good. It feels mature. It feels like I said with Annabelle Monaghan, same thing, like a breath of fresh air. This is the first book in the Skyland series. Wow, I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The only reason why I didn't rate it a 5 is because I couldn't 100% connect to the characters. I didn't really see myself in them 100%, and also these books are very spicy and I do skip over spice a lot because I just don't really care for it, but overall this was just so beautifully written and a really, really good story. I also love that they talk about restaurants because I work in a restaurant and it was kind of giving me PTSD to my job, but overall it was a really good book. Oh my god, I just realized I said Chloe Leese is gonna be at the signing. It is not Chloe Leese. I'm so sorry. The other author, other than Kennedy Ryan and Abby Jimenez, is Julie Soto. I don't know how I got that so wrong. I am so sorry. But Julie Soto is going to be at the signing, so I did read Forget Me Not. This is about a wedding planner and a florist, and the guy is a florist, which was so interesting. I have not read a book like that before. I found it very interesting, but the only parts that I was really not liking were the sexual parts because, for example, right, she loves donuts, and there's a scene where he says that she is like guzzling down a donut, but he finds it really attractive. Oh my god, I'm literally dying. Oh my god, I could not believe that that happened in this book. She's like making eye contact. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. Like I literally could not when it came to that, so I got really scared. But overall, I did like this book. I did like the writing. It's a 3-star for me. The romance was very interesting. I also noticed that in some of my books, when the guy is like really grumpy, sometimes I really don't like that because sometimes they're just mean for literally no reason. Like no reason whatsoever. They're just rude. And I don't like that. I feel like I'm growing out of the grumpy sunshine trope a little bit because I used to absolutely love it and I would eat it up every single time, but now I've grown older and I feel like, wow, I really like a nice guy. Overall, 3 stars for this one. The next book that I'm going to be talking about I actually don't own. I don't know where it is. Like I said, I did move, so I actually had to find a lot of these books out of the boxes. I don't know if I donated this book, my copy of it, but I did have the hard copy, like the hardcover of One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I did end up giving that book a 1 star, so maybe it's good that I donated it. I thought I did own it because I remember having it. I did buddy read this with my cousin and we both didn't like it. So worst book of the month, did not like that book whatsoever. Our main character loses her mother to cancer, I believe, and they plan to go on a trip to Italy for the summer, but obviously her mother passes away, so she goes on the trip by herself. I really did not like multiple things about this book. It does feel very negative to say everything that I really didn't like about it, so I think I will keep those thoughts to myself. If you're very curious about why I didn't like it, you can go on my Goodreads, because I just don't really want to spread any hate or anything. It just wasn't for me, so I'll leave it at that. On the other hand though, this next book I absolutely loved. Oh my god, when I tell you I ate this book up because I could not get enough of it. I loved it, and let me show you and then I'll tell you. Okay, so it is Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. Okay, this book ate. I absolutely loved this book. I gave it a 4.75, and in my review I said that I would probably bump it up to a 5 because it did it for me. I really like this book. It's about a cellist and a violinist, and they fall in love pretty much. Gwen, I really appreciated her character. She felt so real to me. Her love interest, Xander, he was really interesting, and I feel like he was grumpy for good reason. So he wasn't just grumpy for literally no reason and was like mean to everybody. I really enjoyed their chemistry. I feel like they had a lot of chemistry, and there is a lot of spice in this book as well, which is, again, not my favorite thing ever. When that happens, I just kind of skip over it, but I feel like even without the spice, it was just very, like, it felt very intimate. I think it's because of the instruments. While I was reading this book, I was looking up on TikTok, like, violinist and cellist duets and stuff, and I just went into this rabbit hole of classical music and people playing, like, the violin and, like, first chair, everything. Oh my god, I did not know it was like that. Overall, just a really good story. Really enjoyed this one. This next book I also read because this was also in preparation for the signing for Annabelle Monaghan, and it is Same Time Next Summer. I didn't like this one as much as Noro goes off script. I think it's because I couldn't really connect with the characters and I didn't really care about them as much, so that's why I rated it a 3 star, but still I would recommend this one. It's about this woman who, she goes back to this like beach house that she grew up in, and her love interest was there like her whole life pretty much, and it was like her childhood love, so it's kind of like childhood friends to lovers. The only thing that I didn't like about this book is the fact that she has a fiance. You know what, maybe I'm the problem. I'm probably the problem, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like there wasn't really anything wrong with her fiance. She would just say like, he wants to work out again, and like, you know, he's so into fitness and everything. But genuinely, if that's somebody's hobby, they are gonna talk about it a lot. I talk about books all the time, so, you know, I'm sure people get annoyed at this too. She would just be like, he just wants to talk about like, you know, his push day, his pull day, and then I think he's a doctor. Yeah, he's a doctor too. So I didn't really see anything wrong with him as a person, and I feel like she really kind of screwed him over. So that's on the back of the book, by the way, the fact that she has a fiance and she sees her childhood love. So I did end up giving it a 3 star. I mean, there are parts to him obviously that are flawed. I just didn't like the way that she treated him, so that's why it was a 3. And then this next one, oh my goodness, I'll just show you. It is Summer Romance by no other than Annabelle Monaghan. I did get this sign. It is personalized. This book is so good. Perfect summer romance, and it makes you put life into perspective, and I really like that about this one. It's about Addy. She has kids. She's a single mother now because she's going through a divorce. I've been reading a lot of books about stuff like that recently, like older women, older than me, topics that people just go through, and I loved the portrayal of it in this book. Oh my goodness, I really really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it a 4.75. I'm so sorry if you can hear that in the background, but this next book I also read in preparation for the signing because of course I wanted to read books by the authors that are going to be there. This one I really loved. Again, it was so mature and everything about it was so good. I really like the storyline. It is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This is about Soledad. Oh my gosh, her story is so beautiful. She's a single mother. She has 3 girls, I believe. Yeah, I think it's 3. She's going through a divorce with this guy who is horrible, and then she meets this other guy who is great, of course, like, you know. This specific one I did like a little bit more than Before I Let Go because I felt like I understood Soledad more, and I also feel like for me personally she was a lot more relatable, so I really loved that. I thought it was just overall such a beautiful story and I really like this book. Again, super mature, love that aspect of it. I also love that she is like a self-made kind of woman and really takes life into her own hands and tries to make the best for her girls and like tries to do her best with everything that she does. And I love Kennedy Ryan's writing. Overall, really like that book, 4.25. This next book I actually finished today, so I'm really excited to talk about it. It was a doozy, I'm not gonna lie. I did like this book, but at the same time I really didn't. So It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I was absolutely obsessed with Colleen Hoover when I was in high school, which was in 2015. It is now 2024, so I read all of Colleen Hoover's books as they were coming out from 2015 until like my senior year, which is like 2019. So I will say this one kind of felt like a cash grab, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I understand people wanting to see Lily's story with Atlas like bloom, oh my god, for lack of a better term, like to see it like flourish and like flourish. I'm so sorry. It just felt like a crazy long epilogue. Maybe that's not the worst thing ever. Was it the worst thing I've ever read? No. Was it 100% necessary? Probably not. I feel like I would have rather gotten a book about how Ryle like came to be or something, like a villain origin story kind of vibe, but alas, we didn't get that. We got this, which honestly isn't the worst thing ever. I did read this in preparation for the movie It Ends With Us because I reread that book and I'm not gonna touch it again. I did have that on my TBR and decided to read it so that way I'm like refreshed with the characters and like their story and everything. Probably wouldn't recommend it, so that's why I landed with that rating. And this last book, I haven't started it, but I am gonna start it today and I do feel like I can finish it by tomorrow at least. It is You've Reached Sam by Doesn't Thou. This is a YA romance. Don't really know what it's about because I, again, haven't started it. I think it's about this girl who her boyfriend passes away, but she calls him and he answers. Kind of like magical realism vibes. So I am really excited to read this. I do feel like it's gonna be very sad judging by the cover, so can't really put a rating with it, but nonetheless, I'm excited to get into it, and I do think that I will be finishing it within the next 2 days. Alrighty, so those are all the books that I read in the months of June and July. I had a lot of amazing books that I read. I feel like this summer I had such a good reading experience, especially with the books that I've read recently. Oh my goodness, they were so amazing. I cannot wait to go to that signing and meet the authors. Oh my god, getting a Not Another Love Song signed. Stop, I will cry. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed and I hope to see you in my next one very soon. Bye.